Welcome back to In the Garden with Master Gardener Ann Baldwin. Also, Master Gardener Maxine Hunter sitting in with us as well. Although Maxine's got lots more to her title than just that. I just played college football, shots to the head, don't know all the title, but I know she's important.
I was going to say, she's got enough initials you'd think she'd be real good. Yeah, when you're picking out tomato seed packets, you get all the initials at the end. There's Maxine.
although I've known Maxine before she was a master gardener, when her love of life was she wanted to be a veterinarian.
Yes, that is true.
There was a time in Maxine's life where veterinarian school was in her offing.
That is true.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to the phone lines. Hi, caller. You're on with Ann Baldwin.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, you.
Say, I had quite a nice experience here. I wanted to explain. A month or so back, I went to a big box store garden center, and I was in that garden center, and I had a big important question about a plant. And the first employee that walked by, I asked, and that employee was so very nice. And he said, "Let me get you somebody that works here that knows just about everything that's growing in this garden center." And he went and got this woman, and I tell you, this woman went nonstop for 15 minutes on the subject that I gave her, and it was a complete educational experience and wonderful. And that was right here in Ocala.
Well, I'm glad you had one, and because I'm not sure which. Because some of the stores have some good people, others, again.
Well, Hugh lives out on the east side of town.
Right.
So I would suspect it was out there on the east side of town.
On the east side, yeah.
Am I right, Hugh? Was it
it's a store that starts with L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've always had a couple good people over there too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know when I go in there who to go up
who
to
look for exactly.
Well,
yeah,
Hugh,
I just thought it was so nice that I was treated the way I was treated, and it was an educational experience. That woman just kept going on and on and on about that plant. I'm telling you, I learned a heck of a lot.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Did
you crack a cold one with her, Hugh?
I should have invited her over for a cracking one. Right? We sat down and had a couple of cool ones together and talked plant life.
I mean, there's some that want to. A lot of times it's like, hey, we just sit there and talk all day. It's like, wait a minute, I got like a few more questions because now that you found me, everybody else is finding me.
Do you have what was the specific question, Hugh?
Do you remember your plant?
It's a Hawaiian tea plant that I bought.
Oh, your Thai, yeah.
And Thai, this is going back a month or so, and I had some questions about, where to, I wanted to add a couple and where to plant them, and sun and water them, and questions that I've asked on the show here. And well, she was just an expert on that particular subject, and probably a lot more.
Oh yeah, yep. Well, that's good because, again, like I said, a lot of times the stores don't have that resource, and so that's really you get lucky because a lot of times the stores have a hard time holding on to people like that sometimes.
Somebody like that's in the garden center, they should put a little sign on their chest saying knows a lot about everything in the store in the plant life.
Well, that's why the name of the store's on the back of their vest. That's how you know that they know what's going on.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to be cutting lawn here pretty soon. Where I live, there's a service that comes and it's getting bright and green and growing, and now with this kind of a warm spell, almost a heat spell, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of grass cutting pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the lawnmowers will be starting up. The spreaders in another 3 weeks or so, approximately.
Right.
3 to 4 weeks. You get ready to do the fertilizations and that, and otherwise just take it easy. Get the blade sharp on the mower. Go ahead, change the oil, change the plug if you're doing your own. But yeah, sharpen those tools up. You do a better job with a sharp mower, with a sharp set of pruners if you're going out needing to trim things. Sharpen the chainsaw if you're needing to take things down. It makes a cleaner cut. It makes just an easier job of the whole project.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you need a lawnmower that needs servicing, you best go in the middle of winter because if you go now, these places are busy and you might not get your mower back for a couple of weeks.
That's true.
That's a very good point, Hugh. Hey, Hugh, thanks for the call.
Okay, thank you.
Is it time now? Because I know that June 1st is the start of hurricane season.
Right.
I know we have 3 seasons here. hurricane, snowbird, and flip-flop. I know that we got 3 seasons in Florida.
Right.
Okay? I just happen to think the entire year is flip-flop season.
right,
But that's just me. Is it time now, though, to start for the serious tree issues to start getting your tree services out there now to start looking at them, giving you your estimates?
Why wait till it's to the point of you have to do it? And now you're starting to see those trees, the deciduous trees, starting to bud out, so you can tell which ones are still healthy.
Yep.
You know,
So I think that's a great point, Tom, and this is a really good time to start looking at your trees and start evaluating if you've got any dangerous limbs or even dangerous trees as a whole. What you don't want to do yet is start pruning your perennials back yet in case we do get another freeze.
But cutting rotten oak trees down that aren't blooming because their oak trees are starting to bloom.
Right.
Looking at pine trees and said, maybe that wasn't a woodpecker that made that strip down from the top. Maybe that was a lightning strike.
That was lightning. That's why all those needles are brown. Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. You can do that all year round.
Because if you do that in May, if you wait till May, there'll be such a backlog, you may not get those trees down in time.
Or you're going to be paying more of a premium price because their time is more valuable. That is one profession that I do think that their prices, those and like pool guys.
Yep.
Where the prices actually do fluctuate based upon how busy or how much work you may need done and how detailed your work is.
Absolutely. And we do have a list of certified arborists for the International Society of Arboriculture at the Extension office that we can send out. And I'm a certified arborist, so I do a lot of consulting as well in the area. So don't hesitate to let us know if you have problems, but make sure you don't hire the fly-by-night guy that doesn't have insurance and doesn't know what they're doing. We don't want to see your trees killed because they were topped or headed, and you want to
We don't want to see your trees going through your garage or your house or your neighbor's fence.
There's 2 words you need to always have when you're picking a tree guy: bonded and insured.
Correct. And
if they're bonded and insured, they're probably going to do a pretty good job because they're paying. Right, they're paying premium prices to make sure that they don't put a tree through your roof.
And a lot of times too, and I usually say this, is word of mouth.
yes.
Who did your neighbor's tree? You like the quality work that they did? You like the way they cleaned up their yard before they left? Did you go over there and talk to them while they were working and grab a card from them? That's, even landscaping and things like that, it's,
You make such a good point. The tree service that I will use from now on, and I won't say who they are because, we don't want to advertise.
They're not
here.
advertised.
But there's a tree service that I will personally use. I used to live in Ocala Park Place, which is a little condominium complex right across from the Cascades.
Right.
And it's an oasis of growth and trees and bushes. They got the honeysuckle down the
Just a
jasmine
whole,
to make a privacy fence and everything. It's like a little oasis. But there were some rotten trees in there last season. And our HOA brought in a tree service that right off my back patio in this condo, and when I say right off my back patio, literally from my back
But
patio.
there's usually not a whole lot of space.
Without
between
extending my arm, I could touch these 2 trees that were rotten.
Oh.
But they were 40 foot high. And this tree service came back there in that closed in area, literally from the fence line to my porch was 8 feet. And it was up an incline that went from the ground to 6 feet up by the fence in that 8 foot area. So it's on a serious incline with these 2 trees, 40 foot tall, that were rotten from the inside out. When they cut them open, they were rotten from the
There's
inside.
just nothing in the middle,
outside looked good. The inside were terrible.
Yep. Were they laurel oaks, Tom?
They were.
Yep.
I was going to say.
They took these 2 trees down. I stood on my back porch and watched them as they tied off ropes and everything, and they had the pendulum
Lowered them down,
and they lowered them piece by piece. Not once was the buildings ever in jeopardy.
Wow.
I go, that's the guys I'm using forever.
Yeah.
That's good work.
That's
They knew
that's
what
the ones I want.
They knew what they were doing. They brought in a crew of 10 people to take these 2 trees out because it took that many to keep ropes pulled. And
to keep them out of the windows, to keep them from that.
To watch how they pulled.
It's
and
amazing.
To watch where he walked over and said, when we pull, if we cut this right, we nick the right notch. And the guy that's the cutter is also the boss.
Yeah.
He goes, if I notch this right now, and y'all keep the right pressure, we should lay this piece right here in this area. And then they would lay it right in that little area he had designated that piece of tree was going.
That's awesome.
I go, Can I get a card?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Exactly.
To do regular work.
I mean, yeah.
You know, something we see around here in these HOAs frequently is a lot of times the tree companies will stop and tell people that they have a tree that is at risk or that needs to be removed. And sometimes they're correct. A lot of times they're correct, but a lot of times you have people that are not correct. So if you have somebody that stops and is trying to solicit business from you, always make sure you get multiple opinions on that, and don't hesitate to call the extension office if you need to get a second opinion. So like I said, I usually recommend clients get at least 3 estimates, and like I said, check and make sure you're working with someone who is not only licensed and insured, but a certified arborist if you're working with valuable trees. Remember that trees do increase your property value.
Yeah. And if you lose one that's of a mature tree,
Right.
that's an expensive
Absolutely.
replacement.
It is.
And the shade and the not just the value to the property, but the shade to your
Yeah, 'cause we
patio,
have-
your quality of
We have
life
2
is
large oak trees and a magnolia tree that create shade pretty much. Because where our house sits, the sun moves from east to west in the front.
Okay.
So in the back, with those shade trees, it stays
you've
pretty
got
good
a nice-
shade.
yeah.
And if those oak trees, I complain about how hot it is on the lanai now. I'd never sit on the lanai.
Yep.
I mean, but it is time to really start for money
yes.
purposes, because it's cheaper now to get a tree
Right,
service
right,
out
and
there.
yeah, and that they are not booked up yet because we've not had storms where they're having to then come back through and clean up. And yeah, take a look if you've had a tree that you've been questionable about. Call in a couple people to come out, take a look.
Yep.
We got a flower bed in the front of the house that there was a conglomeration of bushes. I don't know what kind of bushes they were, because when I moved in a year ago, they were already just sticks. And so they got pulled up this weekend. And when I say pulled up, one hand, they came out of the dirt very easy.
Okay. Oof.
Because they were dead and pretty much hadn't been alive for over a year.
Right.
Does that mean that soil probably needs to be replaced too?
Not necessarily, but
Amended,
it wouldn't
maybe.
it'd be good to amend it, add some more organic matter or compost to it.
Yeah, it's hard to say of what killed them.
Hey, Tom, better idea. Bring me a soil sample.
There you go.
You just want something to do.
Oh, absolutely.
That's just something else to do. Something
That's
else
right.
to do. But no, soil samples again at this time of year. If you're
Yes.
getting ready to do a new planting bed or
It's a
vegetable garden, herb
perfect
garden,
time.
do those soil samples, and they are still collecting soil samples for pH.
Correct.
At
We are
at the Ag Center.
Joe Martone sent this picture in. I'm
okay.
gonna let you see it.
Okay.
His question is, when the question is, how far down can I cut this, and will it grow back, and how long will it take for it to grow
Probably a
back?
crepe.
No. They're sort of palmetto bush or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So palmetto bushes, you can't actually kill them.
Yeah, you can't cut them down.
Yeah, you can cut it back, but it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
You can
it's-
cut it
yeah.
down to the ground.
Yes.
You can cut it flat to the ground.
It will come back.
And within a year and a half, it'll be
yeah.
just like that again.
Yep.
Yep.
Good luck with that one.
Yes.
Go ahead and get your shovels and your rakes and try to make sure you get all those root pieces up, and
Is it- 'cause
it'll
they'll be
still
back.
come back. To
You know, I
harass
got a buddy of mine that's got a John Deere tractor with a rake on it. Although President Trump got in trouble for saying that you could rake the underbrush out of a forest, you know, when we in Florida know you can do that. But anyway, I got a buddy of mine that's got a rake on the back of his tractor. Maybe I'll put him in. Joe, I'll give you Junior Jontry's number.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wait, they got to be licensed and insured.
Yeah,
Never mind.
never mind.
I just said that name to make Max
Just-
laugh.
And it did. That's funny.
But yeah, palmetto bushes, they ain't going anywhere.
not yeah.
Palmetto bushes, and
They make
palmetto
it. They
bugs,
make.
they ain't
They
going
make.
anywhere.
I was gonna say they make the good coverage.
Yes.
Native plant into the area, so you
right.
just let it do its
And
thing.
bunny rabbits loved him.
Yeah.
Bunny rabbits and
Yeah.
snakes and everything else. And
It's-
so
yeah.
it's
Which
really
are
good
there for the
habitat.
ecosystem, by the way.
That's right. Yep.
You know, somebody say, "Oh, I hate snakes. I hate rattlesnakes.
Oh.
I hate coral snakes
So
because
yeah.
they can
even
kill
then,
me.
yeah, well-
but they have their use.
Yes.
Okay, people say, "Oh, that black snake, we need to kill it." No, you don't.
I had to
That
chase
black
the cat. Go,
snake's
don't leave that
great.
snake alone. And I'm
right.
not a big snake. It's like, well, don't scare me. don't sneak up on me, make me trip over something else. That's when I'm going to
Just
fall
don't
and
be
hurt
laying-
myself.
Don't be laying curled up at the front door at night. When I come in at night and I hit the flashlight and freak out. Don't do that. But
Don't be across the sidewalk where I have to go, because I'm going to stomp my feet and figure out which way you're going.
But everything's needed for the ecosystem that is native to this ecosystem.
Right.
Yep. So, and that brings up a great point, Tom. The eastern diamondback rattlesnake is actually very, very endangered.
Yeah.
So we have several groups that are working to protect them in this area. And generally speaking, if you leave these snakes alone, they have no interest in bothering you.
None.
Right.
Zero. They are much more afraid of us than we are of them. So I teach a lot of snake classes and really enjoy working with people to help them.
That's why they rattle first
it
instead of bite.
respect, right.
They rattle to tell you, hey, I'm here. Let me get out of here.
Yeah, leave me alone.
I guess it's been about a year ago. I was working with the Venom Lab down in Lake County, and their fire rescue department down there was telling me that one of their number one snake bites was from coral snakes. Well, you and I know that coral snakes have a very small mouth.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they really they're not an aggressive species. They're very docile. But they said the reason for this was because people pick them up and handle them.
Which is
and
They
just
think they're
crazy.
king
it
snakes.
is. And so one specific
That's a
example was
mistaken identity
there's
with those.
very much mistaken identity. And they were telling me a story of a gentleman who had actually taken a large coral snake, adult coral snake, into their house and was handling it on the couch for 2+ hours before he got bit by it.
Wow.
So, don't do that. Leave the snakes alone and they'll leave you alone, and they'll protect your house from rats and everything else, because we do get a good bit of woods rats if you've got any kind of shrubbery
Natural
or bushes,
areas
nearby. They can be quite problematic, and the snakes will help keep them down.
They certainly, snakes, people say, well, if you have a garden and you have things in your garden that a bunny rabbit likes, like lettuce and
Yes.
cabbage and carrots, a snake in that garden
Is a good thing.
is a good thing,
Yeah.
because
That's
that
right.
bunny rabbit will get eaten by that snake.
Yes.
or at least that bunny rappet's going to,
We'll realize that snake's in there and go, I don't need to.
I don't know if I need to go
yeah.
over there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like alligators. People always talk about how dangerous alligators are and everything, and I'll see an alligator on a golf course, and I'll walk up to the back of the alligator because he doesn't have his eyes on me, and I'll touch him on his tail with a golf club, just tap him, he'll jet off into the water. Because he doesn't want anything to do with you.
Right,
You're
right.
much bigger than he is. He's scared of you.
Right.
The only reason you would have problems with a nuisance alligator is if they've been fed.
Right.
Right.
The only
exactly.
way.
If somebody's been
only
feeding
time.
them. And we all know, and you're not, don't feed the alligators.
Don't feed any of the wildlife.
Yeah.
Carol Ann Baldwin, how many gator hunts you have been on?
I've never been on any.
Oh, you've got to try it out.
Max.
You've got to try it out.
Max and I have been on more than we, not more we care to remember. They're always fun.
Always.
Always
They're
fun.
always fun.
Yes.
No, the only time we've had place I used to live when my daughter was, 10 years old or so, she's going to take the dogs out for a run in the field, and she heads down the driveway on her bicycle, and you hear the dogs barking, carrying on. Here she comes back up. She goes, there's a 6-foot gator at the end of the driveway. Hercules is at one end, Zeus is at the other, and they got this thing going back and forth. So it's like, go get the dogs, drag the dogs back in the yard to let the poor gator go, because he's upset.
Yeah, he doesn't know what to do now. As soon as you got the dogs away, he took off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was going to, the undisclosed swamp that's nearby.
Yeah.
So I worked as a consultant for the St. Augustine Alligator Farm for a while.
Oh, cool.
And it was a really good experience for me in my younger days. And I got to work there with not only alligators, but the crocodiles too. And it was so interesting because one of the head keepers there told me that, don't ever make the crocodiles mad, because they won't forget you. And they will wait it out and wait until you are not paying attention. But the alligators don't hold that grudge.
Oh, wow.
So it was very interesting. But these different gators out there would know their names. They would, they're not just randomly picking out names as they are out there
Right.
doing their feeding and stuff. It was really cool.
That's interesting.
Last Friday, we do Dumb Crook News on Friday.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Last Friday, 24-year-old decided to go swimming with the crocodiles at the St. Augustine Alligator Farm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's
That
not
didn't end well for him.
No, that doesn't.
He ended up with a foot that was mangled, and
Yeah.
he ended up all his clothes getting ripped off trying to get back out of the enclosure.
Yeah.
I know somebody lives down in the Keys and on a boat, and one of her neighbors is an American crocodile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And it's right there at the dock. There's a picture. I forget the name she's given it. Yeah, there it is.
So I imagine growing up here in Florida, Tom and I have probably swam with the alligators quite a few times, but swimming with the crocodiles is not on my list.
No.
I'm good.
I've numerous times we've seen, water moccasins that swim away from us because we're in the lake. And
Right.
Maxine and I have spent quite a bit of time in a lake called, first off, it's the grossest name ever. Cowpen Lake.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah.
Can I tell you though, it is the clearest, cleanest
beautiful.
lake you will ever
Is
see.
it?
You can literally see, and I did this, and then we dove down and we got it.
Okay.
But I literally took a Bud Light top
Bottle
off
cap,
of a
okay.
bottle, and dropped it, and we watched it go all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
Wow.
16 foot down.
Wow.
Then it got into the milfoil down there. But now we did get, the lake got overrun with milfoil too. And then somebody, I won't say who, went to Georgia and got illegal carp that you're not supposed to have in Florida ponds. And I won't tell you who did that, but they put that carp in there.
Took
and
care of the.
Took care of all the milfoil. And because they knew what they were doing, unlike the Florida Fish and Wildlife who said that this wouldn't happen, they put sterile carp in there. So the person that did it knew when they bought the carp that they were sterile.
Gotcha.
So once the carp died, they just died.
Just died.
Yep.
And then the lake's clear now. I won't tell you who did that. But
It was, yeah.
it's somebody that had contacts in Georgia. That's all I'll let you know.
That's
That's
it.
all I'll let you know. But it's
That's-
Cowpen's
yeah.
back to being a clean lake now.
There you go.
Because
Yeah.
milfoil is not it's an invasive plant.
Yes.
And I've seen more damage done to an ecosystem of a lake from milfoil
Yeah.
than I have
From
carp.
Right.
We have some really nasty aquatic weeds that are invasive, and they spread so fast.
And are those coming because a homeowner dumps an aquarium?
That can be one way
lot
they
of
can get
times.
it a lot
Yeah.
of times. And also people that are running boats and they don't clean their equipment or their trailers between different areas.
Gotcha.
All it takes is a small piece, just like you were talking about earlier with the
Right.
ginger.
Right.
And it just takes a little bit on the back of a trailer or on even
On a
stuck
boat
on a lug
propeller,
nut
yeah,
or
something.
boat propeller.
Into
Yep.
another body of water
That's
and
right.
carry it with it.
And there it starts, and it spreads very quickly.
And Cowpen got it real bad when it was shallow because milfoil is a shallow
Right.
grass.
Okay.
And so there are parts of Cowpen that before the hurricanes came through and Irma and all filling it back up. There was a
Okay.
time Cowpen was, you could drive across it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it filled back up with the 4 hurricanes that came in
Right, they
2004.
came through, right.
So-
But then
It
the
brought the
milfoil in the
aquifer
shallow
up and-
areas, the milfoil
And-
exploded.
That brings up another good point with the hurricanes. They help spread invasives
They spread
as well.
right. Both land weeds,
Yep, both.
insects,
And with wind and water.
right.
So that's a great point.
Yeah, and so I don't know who got rid of the milfoil in the Cowpen Lake, but they did a good job.
They
I
did
know
it,
that.
yeah, sounds like they
You
did
know
it
why?
right.
You know why they did it? Got tired of having to unwrap their prop off their boat.
Too funny.
Well, you do what you have
You
to
get-
do,
yeah.
and
And I
not
think this,
spread
I'm
it.
pretty sure the statute of limitations is
It's
run out
up on that,
because that
yeah.
guy hadn't lived on Cowpen since 2006. So I'm pretty sure that 14 15 years.
yeah,
Statute
maybe,
of limitations may be
could be.
gone in that anyway.
Oh, but hey, you eliminated
No, I
an
didn't do it.
invasive
I didn't do
species.
it. I didn't
no,
do it.
not you.
Somebody did it.
They eliminated an invasive species using a sterile,
Absolutely.
could be invasive
Carp.
species.
Yeah, well, no, it is. Carp's invasive.
But it's sterile, yeah.
It is because it'll clean the lake out of everything.
Yeah.
But had to do what you had to do.
That's it.
Good for whoever did that. Congratulations. to them.
Congratulations, you saved the
Carolyn,
lake.
where can people find information for you or where you're at?
They can come onto the In the Garden Facebook group page or go find me down in Lowe's, down in Lady Lake.
Master Gardener Carolyn Baldwin. Every Tuesday she joins us. Maxine was here today too. Max, thanks for coming in and being my surprise.
I enjoyed it anytime, Tom.
Maxine Hunter as well. We'll be right back after this short timeout. Matt Gibbs in the studio next, right here on WOCA.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
President Trump called the Supreme Court's recent decision to allow the release of his tax returns continued political persecution. The 45th president also asserted New York officials are distracting the public from the actual crime in the city, where violence has been reaching new record highs. The investigation into the engine failure of a Boeing 777 could take more than a year, officials said, but already the picture is becoming clear about what happened to the United Airlines flight on Saturday. The Pratt & Whitney engine failed minutes into United Airlines flight 328 headed from Colorado to Hawaii, leaving a mild debris in its wake. After the incident, United grounded all of its Boeing 777s. Investigators are looking into metal fatigue as the culprit. The United States Air Force B-1B Lancers from Dyess Air Force Base in Texas arrived in Norway on Monday as part of a training mission in Europe, marking the first time U.S. bombers have operated out of the Scandinavian country. This is USA Radio News.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
The product that you have given me here is, as far as I'm concerned, sent to me from heaven. I love it a great deal. It's hard to find anything that's real nowadays. I enjoy it immensely. It's making my life so much better. I feel so much better. And during this pandemic, I have no worries whatsoever. My immune system has got to be at a top-notch level. I don't seem to get colds or anything. I don't know what getting sick is anymore. This is so cool.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751.